What's happening, friends? Welcome back to Dynamo DeFi. My name is Patrick, and on this channel I talk about cryptocurrency, decentralized finance, and economics. Today's video is all about Oasis Protocol, the Rose token for Oasis, and some exciting DeFi projects that launched on Oasis over the past few days. And perhaps we'll be able to answer the question, can Rose be an Oasis amidst a tumultuous market? I covered Oasis in more detail at the end of November, but I'll do a quick review now on exactly what Oasis is and why it's a bit unique. So Oasis is a layer 1 blockchain, similar to Avalanche or Near or Solana, with a few distinguishing features. So first thing is that they have privacy. They have the ability to add privacy on their smart contracts. So you can imagine a lot of potential applications for DeFi. If you were to bring traditional finance services into DeFi, a lot of applications would need to be private. For example, you probably wouldn't want anyone in the world to be able to look up your income. And if you had a smart contract that required some sort of private information, like, for example, a social security number, obviously you could not send that over a public blockchain. It would need to be somehow encrypted. And Oasis allows you to do that. Not to mention, you might just not want everyone knowing your account balance, right? So they have that. They also have tokenized data. This is one of the chief applications of blockchain and Web3 that's been talked about for years. And to give a quick example of what that might be, right now when you use a service like Facebook or Google, if it's free, that's because you're the product. They are tracking your data, and then the service that you're using, like Facebook, is then selling your data to advertisers to make money. With tokenized data, you would actually own your own data, and you could choose who was allowed to profit off that, and they would have to pay you in order to use your data. So this is a total change in how the web works, and it brings a lot of power back to users. Finally, and this is probably the least unique of the three, but is still important, Oasis has something called Paratimes. These are similar to parachains on Polkadot or subnets on Avalanche that basically allow multiple different blockchains to be built on top of Oasis. Additionally, they have some of the biggest partners in the blockchain space, like BMW, like genomics companies, like Meta, meaning Facebook, although the details of that one have not been fully announced yet. And they've been getting a lot of attention the past couple of days because they've had a few bullish news pieces. The first one is that Binance Labs backed their ecosystem fund. So they will be helping to fund projects that are built on Oasis. And Binance joining the fund now brings the fund in total to $200 million. And that is extremely significant, even though it's not the largest fund, because Oasis's market cap is around $1.5 billion. So this fund is actually a substantial portion of the Oasis market cap, which means that it's a lot of capital compared to what's built on it now. Right now, there's really just two DeFi projects that just launched over the past couple of days. Although I believe there are some private applications as well. And so between this and then the DeFi projects launching, the price has done really well over the past day. It's up almost 25% in the last 24 hours, which is an incredible pump. It's right near its all-time high, even as the market is definitely not near the market's all-time high. The market isn't doing quite as well. So I guess the first thing I'll say is, if you have not bought into it yet, I can't give financial advice, but if I had not bought into it yet, because I bought into it months ago, then you might want to dollar cost averaging in. Dollar cost averaging is your friend. Candles like this sometimes get followed by more green candles, but not always. So, I would be adding a bit of money every day, maybe waiting for a dip. Second thing I would say is, if you want the most up-to-date information on which projects I'm following, be sure to follow me on Twitter. I did make a video about this back in November. However, I've been posting about it frequently. Even a couple days ago, I listed it as one of the most underpriced layer ones on Twitter, but there just hasn't been enough news to actually make a video on it recently. So if you want the most up-to-date information, be sure to follow me on there. Yeah, and so that is what's going on with Oasis in a nutshell. Let's take a quick look at the DeFi projects that launched on it. The first one was DuneSwap. This is a standard fork of SushiSwap or Uniswap, and they have some decent rates on here right now. This one kind of launched as a surprise. People were expecting YuzuSwap, which is the other project, to be the first DEX, and then DuneSwap unexpectedly launched a couple days before them. They have not been audited, as far as I can tell, so that is always a risk. But the rates are decent right now. If you do Rose USDT, you're getting around 500%. Rose ETH is almost 1,000% right now. That is very nice. And actually, even stablecoins are 100%. This pool must have just opened up. Single-sided Rose is 135%. And if you're willing to go into that pool too with Dune and Rose, then you're looking at 1,100%, which is also quite nice. Other than that, there's not a ton to this right now. They have some vaults and a locker planned, but still in development right now. The other DEX that launched is YuzuSwap. YuzuSwap launched just earlier today, and this one has a few interesting features. So first is they have something called trade mining. So every time you make a trade, you start receiving trade mining rewards, and then once you claim them, you stop receiving the rewards. But until you claim them, you just start getting these trade mining rewards, and that's a pretty cool concept. And then liquidity mining, the rates are just bonkers. Rose USDT is 365 or 3,650%, so basically 10% a day. Rose ETH is almost 4,000%. Rose Yuzu, so if you're willing to hold the native token of this DEX, is around 47,000%, and that's actually come down quite a bit from what it was a few hours ago. So that is really high. That being said, the inflation on this and DuneSwap, but especially on YuzuSwap, is really, really high, guys. So, if you miss the initial pump, because these did pump when they first launched, then, well, if I had missed the initial pump, then I would be very careful buying into these. Now, I might consider a strategy that involved farming Rose with USDT or Rose with ETH and then accumulating the tokens that way, if that's what I wanted, because I think the inflation on this is, I don't know it exactly off the top of my head, but I think it's close to, more than doubling in the next 24 hours, which is a lot. But that is Yuzu in a nutshell. Very nice degen farm on Oasis now. And by the way, both of these are on something called the Emerald Paratime. You can see that on the screen there, and that's the EVM compatible Paratime. So you could think of this as being the equivalent of Aurora on Near network, or perhaps you could compare it to Moonbeam on Polkadot even. And in order to get to this, it's a bit of a complicated process right now. You can either bridge to this through the wormhole bridge, or you can buy Rose on a DEX, send it to the Oasis wallet, and then transfer it to the Emerald Paratime. Like I said, it's a lot of steps, so I'll be making a separate video that I'll post after this with how to do that exactly. But know that you will need to create an Oasis wallet, which you can do at wallet.oasisprotocol.org. But I'll make a separate video with the step-by-step walkthrough of how to do that exactly. But that's what's going on in a nutshell with Rose. Let me know what you guys think about Oasis. Have you tried out either of these protocols, Yuzu or Dune? I'm expecting a lot more to launch, so if you miss these, but you like Oasis, keep an eye out because there's probably going to be more in the future. If you have any other projects you want me to cover, be sure to drop a request in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.